That looks so much bigger than you in that chair. Look at that.
Just tap that once or twice.
Are we good?
We're good. We're on. On like we're on. Burgundy. Unique New York.
What was it? The Human Torch was denied a bank loan.
The arsonist has oddly shaped feet.
I don't remember anything else now. Just screams. All right, we are back with, this is week 4 in a row. We're on a roll here, Marc.
4 in a row.
We've established a record of consistency, which, as you know, is a crucial element in success.
Yeah.
How are you doing today?
Good. How you doing today?
I'm good. How do you feel after your workout yesterday?
I'm sore. You know, it's been a while since we've done back squats from the rack.
From the rack, yeah.
And I've been doing it in my own strength training, but it's been a while since we've done it in a class, and it's been a while since we've done back squats in a workout, back squats that heavy in a workout. So my hips are pretty sore, but I feel good. But it's a good soreness. It's not like I can't walk. Like after that pistol workout a few weeks ago, when I couldn't put my sockies on because they weren't
sockies.
Yeah, sockies and shoesies.
Before we get too far into this, I want to say welcome to all the people on the live feed that are watching. You may notice that I'm in a new chair today, much more comfortable than the old one and much more tall. That's why you see Marc is trying to sit up with his posture there. This is actually my chair from home, but maybe upgraded us to a different chair that's more fitting with the decor. So this has been relegated to the office here at CFG. So for now, I'm taking my racing car seat chair and using it as the guest seat for the podcast.
We are lucky to receive your hand-me-downs. It is.
So the chair that you're sitting in, actually, did I tell you where that came from?
No.
I've had that since I was in college.
So this is like the hand-me-down before the hand-me-down.
Yes,
well,
that is an ultra hand-me-down there.
This still, I mean, it still
It's
looks
a great chair, great
yeah.
investment. See, you just get a good piece of equipment and it sticks with you. So hopefully this thing will hold up to the test of time as well.
Yes, sir.
So, if you are on the live feed, I see that we've got, it looks like 6 eyeballs right now.
Whoa!
Would you just drop a comment in there to make sure that you can hear us, that you are alive out there? I'm going to guess it's Rob, Tina, Brandon, you, me, Heather. There's probably our...
And it says we have Natalie. Natalie's watching. Natalie, we just saw you. Thanks for tuning in.
So I'm not getting these notifications. I don't know why it doesn't tell me who's on there, but oh well. It's okay.
Oh, it's not telling me. I was guessing.
Oh, you're guessing.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I feel less bad.
Marc James, Coach Marc James is here.
Marc James is here too? Good deal. All right.
Brandon.
So let's get rocking.
Okay.
So upcoming events, I always think this is a good thing just to keep people apprised of what is going on. Remind me to just talk about other things that I'm working on as well, in addition to the official events. So number 1, the Clean Clinic, it's sold out, so if you didn't get a spot, make sure you sign up quicker next time. That's it.
And I think we even opened up more spots this time. It was like a max of 8, and then it sold out pretty quickly, and Stephanie told me yesterday that now we have 10 people doing it. Which
wow.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Holy smokes, they're going to be busy.
Yeah.
And that's coming up, is it this Saturday?
Yeah.
It's this Saturday, yeah. Okay, cool. So the Clean Clinic is this Saturday again. If you didn't make it, you have 2 options. Option 1 is to sign up quicker next time. Hit the buy now button, and we can get a fancy buy now button like Amazon has.
Yeah.
And then option 2 would be, like we talked about last time, you can just come to the gym and put your face against the glass and maybe, ear against the window to see and hear all of the little nuggets that are going to be tossed out. So that's exciting. And then the following Monday, which is the 14th of September, starts the newest Fall Nutrition Reset Challenge with Coach Steph.
Yes.
We have now passed pre-sale pricing and we're on to regular pricing. So if you weren't able to get in on that slightly reduced rate, it is the full price now, but still the same full goodness that you are going to be getting, all the value, and I've seen results are guaranteed.
Whoa!
So
That's quite the
special.
claim.
That's quite the claim.
What happens if there are no results? What are you gonna do?
Send a note to your nutrition coach, Stephanie at coachingforglory.com.
There you go.
And then 2 more events coming up. We've got the guys event that is barbells and bros.
Barbells and bros.
So we're going to do a lot of curls, a lot of skull crushers. I heard a rumor that mirrors were going to be brought in so you could see the biceps growing in real time.
Whoa, I'm not bringing my mirrors.
Okay.
I don't trust them in here. But anybody that would like to bring their mirrors can definitely bring
Okay,
them.
cool. So guys, if you have mirrors hanging around, you want to bring them, that's acceptable.
That is a dudes only, no girls allowed event. Guys,
This is almost like Little Rascals level, right?
It's like guys' clubhouse is like we're gonna build a tree house and we're gonna hang out.
Is it the He-Man Woman Haters Club?
Yeah.
That's what it is.
For this one night at CFG,
Cool.
That's Friday, September 25th. And then a couple weeks later, sometime early October, ladies, we will have the event for you. I don't know if I can spoil the name. I think we've said it before, but that'll be Metcons.
Yeah, you said it last time.
That'll be Metcons and Mimosas. So yeah, there'll definitely be a girls only, no boys allowed event. She woman man haters club event for you guys.
Yes, that's the right order. I think that you said that. Okay, cool. Other things, I did get confirmation from my boss, aka Mandy. Friendsgiving is a go.
Nice, that's exciting.
On Saturday, November 14th. So
that was awesome.
Pencil that date in. Basically, it is just an awesome excuse to bring everybody together at our house. We want to host you guys, feed you. It's basically like Thanksgiving, but with your friends instead of your family. Although I'm sure that my family will also be there, so that's great.
Yeah.
So Friendsgiving, Saturday, November 14th. Time TBD, but probably late afternoon, early evening.
Hopefully the weather's as nice as it was last year. Last year was perfect. It was like the perfect afternoon, evening.
So good. Doors wide open. Everything was just awesome last time. So yeah.
Tracking dirt in your house, it was awesome.
Yeah, it was brilliant, you know. Playing for the next 3 weeks. So you know what I've discovered though? My wife is incredibly astute at making decisions on behalf of the family, and so in regards to Friendsgiving, there's all this like negotiation process that goes on. So prior to last year, I mean, she's not listening, so I probably won't get in trouble saying this unless somebody tags her in the live feed and she listens to it later. But anyways, so there were a couple of upgrades that she wanted to have done, you know, maybe some furniture things. And she said, well, if you want to do this Friendsgiving thing, we need to do A, B, C, D at the house to make sure that, you know, we can accommodate all these people. So did that, of course, could host Friendsgiving. Well, of course, when we were confirming the date, she said, just so you know, and I already knew where this was going, just so you know, here are a couple of things that we need to get done at the house prior to. So, yeah, you know, it's a little give and take in a marriage, Mark. So, yeah,
but
we're excited.
You had a great event. So it was totally worth it.
It was well worth it. Definitely well worth it. Yeah.
Those are all of our events, right?
Yep, that's all the events. So some other things that we're working on behind the scenes is getting people. There was a handful of people that, not to use this word again, that put their hands up to get added into our brand new CFG app. Mm-hmm. So if that is you, let us know. We'll get you guys set up. And then really, you're kind of the people that are going to be the early adopters are kind of like our little beta testing group. So what we're expecting is that if there's any kinks or bugs or anything to be worked out, let us know and give us feedback. This is not a replacement for Wodify right now. It could be that long term, but right now we just want to get not everybody onto the platform at once, but just the people who are usually the early adopters, like the tech stuff, you know, your Rob Rivera's, your Edgardos, people that jump onto that type of stuff. So yeah, if that's you, if you want to give that a shot, please let us know. We're still rolling that out. And then let's see, what else do we have going on? What else is anything that I'm missing?
I don't know. I hope not, because I'm gonna feel bad if I didn't think about it. The app, what have we talked about in the past? All the events, of course, Friendsgiving. We had someone here. I don't know if you wanted to talk about this or if this is fully developed. I can't see it anymore. College football, car show, stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
This is way back on our list, but.
So college football is a go in some conferences. So if you're a fan of the best conference around, the SEC, we are still playing football. If you're a fan of one of the other star conferences like the Big Ten, where Ohio State lives, sorry, you're not going to see college football. So maybe be a fan of a better team. No, but yeah, I don't know what we're going to do there, but I do think that it would be really cool to, get together potentially at the gym or some other venue, whether it's somebody's house, just to get together and watch a handful of college football games on one Saturday, just as another opportunity for people to come together for reasons other than working out and doing thrusters and pull-ups, which we happen to be doing tomorrow for a workout called Frame. But yeah, so that's kind of the idea with the college football piece that I put in there. And then a car show, yes. It's funny that you mentioned this because today I'm wearing a shirt of a guy that I'm a big follower and fan of, Obsessed Garage. So I think that it would be really awesome to host a small car show here at the gym. I'm a big fan of everything that has an engine, or even if you have an electric car, I'm a fan of those too. So don't think that just because you don't have a super awesome car, or maybe what would typically be shown at a car show, just come up here. And it's really, again, just an excuse to hang out with people in a much different format. So I don't have a date for that yet. Probably going to be sometime later into October when the weather is a little bit nicer. So who knows, maybe we could turn it into an all-day thing, watch some college football, bring your car up here, whatever, what have you, and we'll make a whole day of it.
Some BBQ.
Yeah, some barbecue.
Here we go.
Yeah. Is that what that stands for?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
What if you drive a Passat? Can you drive it at the car show?
As long as you can tell me where the owner's manual is located in your car, you are welcome.
What a sorry person if they can't do that.
Yes.
I can change a tire now too.
There you go.
There we go.
Angela gave us a thumbs up. She's here. My mom's here. Hello. Brandon is here. Fernando, you missed the lightsaber duel. Yes, we already did that. And I'm sorry if you missed it. You'll have to rewind and watch it later.
Oh, Fernando, Mandalorian Season 2 trailer. Did you see that? Pretty good.
I have not watched one episode of The Mandalorian.
I've only watched the first 2 or 3 episodes, and I need to finish it, but I already loved it the first 2 or 3. And then I started watching Ozark and then Sopranos, and now I'm finishing Sopranos. We could talk about TV shows on a whole other episode, like we did with shoes last week. TV shows I could go on for.
Yeah, so right before we jumped into this, actually, a couple of people who I'm not going to call out publicly, but they know who they are from the 9 a.m. class Wednesday, September 9th, said that we talked about shoes for an excessively long period of time. I don't know that I would use the word excessive, but we did talk about them for a while, and really the reason being is because we kept getting questions, and people love to hear about shoes. So I'm actually wearing another favorite pair of my shoes here. We're not going to go too deep into them, but these are the Reebok TR trainers or something?
Those are awesome shoes.
They really are.
Yeah.
Underrated. Because they don't have the Nano name on them, but they're super lightweight, very flexible. They're pretty flat, but they're not quite as wide in the toe box as the Nanos. But maybe we limit this to 30 seconds. So say what you gotta say in 30 seconds. Ready, go.
I was just gonna say, I'm pretty sure I think those came out around the same time as the Nano 7s. I could have my timeline wrong, but those made up for what the Nano 7s weren't before the Nano 7 Weaves came out. Because the Nano 7 Weaves were basically like the rehash of the Nano 7s, fixing everything that was wrong.
Yes.
And then, so those kind of were a placeholder until the Nano 7 Weaves came out.
Okay.
Boom.
That's it.
How long
30
was
seconds.
that?
All right. That's it for shoes.
How long was that?
That was like 25 seconds.
Oh!
All right. And Tina, after my own heart, an episode of Seinfeld quotes. I actually threw a Seinfeld quote onto Marc yesterday. Something about because of society. That was a Seinfeld quote. There's actually 2 different episodes where that is referenced. But anyways. Yes, so an episode of Seinfeld quotes. Brandon says Sopranos podcast. I've actually never seen The Sopranos, so that would be a one-way street. Maybe you could bring on some people that have watched The Sopranos, and you guys could talk about it.
And you bring on Tina and Justin Scott, and you guys do Seinfeld.
Yes.
Sopranos.
I actually have the Seinfeld board game.
What is it?
It's just like a trivia game.
Oh, like Trivial Pursuit.
Yeah, I guess I said board game. I shouldn't have said that. Trivia game. It is amazing, and I'm undefeated.
Ooh. Maybe you guys knock that out of Friendsgiving.
Maybe we could, I was just about to say that. Gosh, great minds. Okay. So, I do have something interesting to offer to people. If you have a home gym and you potentially are looking to upgrade it, or maybe even get a few pieces to start your own home gym, which I'm a big proponent of, just having a piece or a couple pieces of equipment at home. We are looking to basically sell off a handful of pieces of equipment from CFG in an effort to purchase new, different equipment. So the things that we have got some extras of right now is some medicine balls, a couple of rowers, and then GHDs. So if any of those interest you, or if you're thinking, man, I'd love to have a med ball or two, or a rower, or a GHD at my house, let me know. Email me directly or comment into the text thread here, or into the comment thread. But yeah, so those are some of the things that we're going to kind of offload. And I know right now that equipment is really kind of like at a premium.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do is look at the retail price of the equipment, and I'm going to double it.
Oh!
No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to do that. I'm not looking to become a millionaire selling off a couple of pieces of equipment. So I'll make you a good deal. If you want a med ball, a rower, and or a GHD, just let me know, and we will get that stuff delivered. Mark will deliver it in his Passat.
No, I won't. Are you willing to disclose what you're interested in purchasing as you mentioned new equipment? You don't. Would you rather keep this?
No. So what I think would be really, really valuable to have here is more options in the quote-unquote machine world. So we have seven rowers. We've got a biker, an assault bike, and one skier. Unfortunately, you don't really have a lot of options, as you know, as a programmer, when there's just like one skier or one biker or one assault bike. So I would really love, so right now, for instance, we have space for 12 people in the class. I would really love there to be a machine at every single square, or for you as a programmer to have an option to put a machine. Mm-hmm. But beyond that, what I'm thinking is to have, if you just look at it from the rower, the biker, the skier, the assault bike, since we can have 12 people, 4 machines, 3 of each machine.
Cool.
And then be able to run, interval type classes where everybody gets some exposure at each of the different machines. I just think that it offers up more options for everybody to jump onto the different machines that we have right now. So,
how many rowers do you plan on keeping? Is it the 3, the 4, or however many people aren't interested in?
Yeah, so we will definitely have at least 3, probably 4 though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. I just asked because that usually shows up every year in the Open as well. So I know you've thought about that.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Something to keep in mind. So if there's 7 people that want a rower, the first 3 better be the quickest.
Exactly. So we've got 3 GHDs for sure that we can offload. Rowers, we can get rid of at least 3 of those. And then med balls, we've got a whole handful of those. So just let me know, and I'll tell you what we have, because I don't have the exact inventory on the med balls in front of me. I think it's a handful of 14s, maybe a couple of 10s, something like that. And full disclosure on the med ball piece, these are the ones that they're kind of tattered. They still hold shape, fine. You can still do everything that you want to. But really, I just want to get upgraded or new versions of the med balls. So those are just going to be kind of replacement items.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
So that's that.
Plan. Anything else you want to say about that?
No. So Angela is claiming a rower already. Look at that. Mark James says he wants to do a workout that's called acid bath. Rob Rivera says there is a special GHD courtesy of Brian Rummel. Yeah. So he did not fully get locked in with his feet and fell backwards off of the GHD and permanently bent one of the pegs on the bottom. It didn't affect the operation or the GHD at all. I think more than anything, it just bruised his ego quite a bit.
It bruised his body quite a bit. Do you remember the bruise?
It was unbelievable.
It looked like he took a softball that went like 1,000 miles an hour right into, it was like his back or something.
Yeah, right around his low back area. I mean, it was bad.
It was gnarly.
It was real bad.
It was also funny.
Well, it's one of those things as a coach, I don't know if we put this into the coaching development plan, we probably should, but, you know, when there is something like that, the first instinct is you want to make sure that they're okay.
Yeah.
Once you know they're okay, laughter is the best medicine.
They say the same when you're using the defib, or maybe it's a little bit more extreme.
Are you okay?
We'll edit this part out of the podcast.
Yeah. Oh gosh, we're probably gonna get it. I don't know.
So,
okay, so let's get to some listener questions because we had one. Coach Steph posed this one actually under the Facebook question, asking for questions, and then there were some others that I've gotten privately that were shared with me. Also, people texting me, emailing me ones as well. So we'll just rifle through these, and I'm sure, as was pointed out to me earlier this morning, that there will be some trail off, some rants along the way.
Of course.
But we will embrace it as it arrives.
I think this first one especially because this one really got me thinking last night. And
Do you have your answer ready?
Yeah, it's in my brain.
Okay.
Because we kind of talked about it on a podcast, and I just made it very quick because I didn't want to think about it too much. But we should probably detail the question first.
Okay.
So the question from Stephanie was, what are the top 3 things you look for in an athlete/client as a coach when determining how successful they will or can be at attaining the goals they've set forth?
Yes.
So really, what are the top 3 things you're looking for in an ideal athlete and client to help them reach their goals? Is another way to put that. Did you want to go first?
I will let you go first.
So we kind of talked about this, like I said, on a previous podcast, and this is something I could really overthink. I think there are 10 things, 25, 50 things that you're looking for. I think not necessarily the top 3, even though that was the question, but the first 3 you're going to want to look for, as you might see where I'm going with this, is the athlete or client ready, willing, and able. And
love it.
That's why it was like, we've already kind of talked about it a little bit, and I didn't want to overthink this with a bunch of different qualities because there are so many. As you know, you've worked with thousands of people over the years, that there are thousands of things you look for. You know, there are so many things that you look for that make them, that help people attain their goals. And I just think someone that is ready, someone that is willing, and someone that is able to reach their goals, that's primarily what I'm looking for.
Can you expand a little bit on each of those 3 things? Like when you say somebody's ready, what do you mean by that?
Okay, so we'll just take it from like ground zero, step 1, when someone's coming through the door. Like hey, I want to join Coaching for Glory, or hey, I'm interested in a fitness program, or I'm interested in nutrition. That tells me, okay, they're ready. Like they've gone through all the steps, because there are steps they go through before they even sit in front of us, you know, before they get to the no sweat intro, or the free intro session. It shows that they've gone through the back end. They've probably communicated with somebody. They've completed some sort of survey or some sort of questionnaire.
Like that.
A submission form. They're ready. They've taken the steps to reach their goals. They're ready to do it. And then willing is, are you willing to do X, Y, and Z? And this could be, again, 1,000 different things. Okay, well, your schedule only allows you to make our 5:30 class, and you want to be in the group fitness program. Like, are you willing to get up at 4:30 or 5 o'clock in the morning 3 times a week?
That's a really good distinction.
Yeah, and work out at that time. Are you willing to, have a long day at work and come to the 7 p.m.? like Jeff Aubin does, or we have a number of other 7 p.m. people that if they can't make the earlier class, they'll come to. Are you willing to do something like that? And then, not to get too far into this, but are you willing to make the financial investment into your health, which is a big deal for a lot of people. Is, hey, like, okay, I want to do this, and that. Okay, here's the value of it. You know, are you willing to do that? And that's another thing. So, are you ready? Are you willing? And then, are you able? So, are you able to make that 5:30 class? Are you able to make the group fitness schedule? No? Well, maybe that one-on-one training is the best option for you. Oh, you can't make that either? Like, maybe just doing nutrition is right for you instead.
Absolutely.
I know you're interested in exercise, but maybe just doing nutrition is the step you need to take right now to reach your goal. So, are you able to do that? Is that, again, financially, physically, mentally, emotionally possible for you to do right now? So that's kind of where I was going with the are you ready, willing, and able kind of qualities that we're looking for.
I think that's really good. That's such a great and simple way to look at it, those 3 pieces, because like you said, that sometimes that first step, somebody just walking into the gym, like that's a big step. Then walking into the office and sitting down and talking to you or Steph or Emily or whoever's doing the free intro session, that can be very intimidating for a lot of people, especially if you are somebody who really has no background being in the gym environment or exercising on a regular basis. It's such an unknown. Funny story, a quick aside, I promise. When I first got involved in CrossFit, I was living down in Sarasota at the time. I was going to a gym, and I knew that I was going to open up my own gym at some point. And so I was talking to the owner of this gym at the time, and I said, you know, I really want to get some exposure and experience being around a gym that has more members, that is much more like the one that I want to have. And don't get me wrong, this first one was amazing, but I needed to be part of something that was just a little bit bigger. So he put me in touch with another gym owner in town. I legit reached out to him directly and said, hey, I would love to come and be a part of your gym and learn from you as an owner, and put it out there that like, hey, my goal is to learn as much as I can in say 6-8 months or a year, whatever the time period was. Is that something that you're open to doing, to teaching me? And he, of course, is very gracious, said, yep, come on down, this is where we're located. So I drove to the gym, and mind you, I'm somebody who's been an athlete my whole life. I had already been doing CrossFit, I was fairly fit. I remember driving by the back side of the door, and the big garage door was open, and all this chaos was going on. And like did the slow creep by and like drove home. Like, wow. I was super intimidated because I didn't want to park right there and like walk through the middle of this class. So I've also felt that unease and that anxiety. Yeah. And I'm somebody who has grown up in this kind of environment. So I recognize how difficult it can be to even get to that first step of being ready, you know? Yeah.
We've always said, and this is kind of like a cliche or like a tagline, and I say we've always said, but I think just kind of people in the fitness industry, because I don't think we say this here too much, but I think we can acknowledge that the hardest step for people and the hardest part of getting someone into the gym or getting them into a group class is getting them through the door that first time. It's almost like once someone has acknowledged that they're ready, that they've made the steps and they're ready to do that, once they've come through the door, it's like, okay, let's try to figure out the right plan for you. Because there is one. There's a plan for everybody. Let's try to figure it out. Because you've done the hardest thing. Like you've stepped into this intimidating gym. Sometimes when a class is going on, you've seen people grunting, dropping bars, and like, if you're asking me from the outside, that's probably the scariest it gets, is like, oh, I don't know if I can do that. Like, so if you see someone with 135 pounds overhead or dropping it, or someone's yelling and the music's loud, it's like you said, you saw a class going on, it was chaotic. And someone might not want to walk in and see all that. So once somebody can just get their foot in the door, and it's okay, they've made that first step, all right, just sit down, we'll have a nice conversation with you in this beautiful office, and we will, oh, actually, we haven't talked about the whiteboard, but we'll get you rocking and rolling. We'll get you set up in the class. So,
does your answer change at all for veteran members? Or is it always the same because you're communicating their goals and laying out the plan alongside them, and is it still the same?
My answer kind of depends on that one. Have we already established they are ready, willing, and able to do this? Like, am I working with them already?
Yeah, so say it's somebody like Jose.
Okay, so somebody who's ready, they're
experienced,
willing,
yeah, so they're already, coming in, doing the things, like part of Steph's question was when determining how successful they can be at attaining their goal. Well, you come in with one goal, but that certainly evolves over time. So if Jose has a goal to, I don't know, make it to the CrossFit Games,
mm-hmm.
right? Is it still ready, willing, and able when you lay the plan out for him?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think there are other factors I kind of look for, like and not to steal from yours, but I like a lot of the things that you listed, and I'll let you detail that because that's your answer. Because I feel like once you are getting to that point, so when somebody says I want to go to the CrossFit Games, when you want to be the top 0.1% of people, there's more you're looking for. Of course, you're ready, willing, and able, but there are characteristics I think that you're generally going to want to look for.
Right.
That's going to help someone's chances, you could say.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, yes, my answer stays relatively the same.
Cool. Okay, so my 3 things that I look for when I'm determining, how successful they can be is number 1. Well, let me back up. These are not in any specific order. Patience, curiosity, and consistency. There is a undercurrent within each of those things, the adaptability component. There's a component of adaptability, meaning you need to be able to kind of, not to use the cliche statement, roll with the punches, but you need to be able to do those types of things because you're not always going to have your exact rower, your exact spot in the class, your exact barbell. The gym may not be open, COVID may happen, the gym gets shut down, you have no equipment, you have to train or you have to go on vacation, you're going out of town with the family, you still have these goals. So I think if anything that COVID has taught us in particular as coaches when we work with our members and our athletes is that adaptability is a huge part of somebody who is ultimately successful in making forward progress. So, but the 3 for me is I want somebody who's patient, I want somebody who's curious, and I want somebody who is consistent. So I'm sure you want me to expound on those.
Yes, on every single one.
So, okay, number 1, patience. This is a big one for me because in all my years of coaching, so nearly 20 years now of coaching, I have yet to meet somebody whose goal can be achieved in a short period of time. In short, what I mean by that is what typical, we just talked about this last week, what like social media would have you believe is like a quick time frame, right? So 6-week challenge or 6-minute abs, 8-minute abs, 5-minute abs, those types of things. Like that's the norm expectation that people have when they have specific goals that they want to reach. And that's just, in my experience as a coach, things don't happen that quickly. If they do happen that quickly, it's not sustainable. So I am always going to talk to somebody about the long game approach because at the end of the day, that's really what is going to be sustainable and best for them long term. You want to lose 20 pounds? Great. Let's not think about losing 20 pounds in 4 weeks. Let's think about losing 20 pounds over the course of the next 12 months. And that's hard. That's a very hard conversation sometimes to have with people because they come in with these expectations that, oh, I'm going to get this quick fix, and in reality, that's just not the way that we operate because it's not the best for people. It may work, but it's not the best. It's not the most optimal.
And you'll hear people say, oh, I did. And this, we got into diets and like eating habits a few weeks ago with like intermittent fasting. So, oh, I did intermittent fasting, or I did paleo, or I did keto, and I did it for 2 months and lost, 30 or 40 pounds. It's like, well, what happened? Like, did you keep doing it? No. What happened when you kept doing it? Well, I put 20 or 30 back on. Okay, so really you lost 10. You lost 10 doing whatever you were doing, but I think people attach to, like you said, the social media kind of taglines of, oh, I did this for 6 weeks and I lost this much, and everyone's like, oh, that's awesome, congratulations, when it's, hey, like, I lost 20 pounds over the course of a year, like you said, over the course of 12 months, and not only that, but I was able to form better eating habits, form better lifestyle habits that are helping me keep that weight off, and overall just live better and healthier mentally as well.
So that's the patience piece. Number one is I really think that the people who can adopt that mindset and mentality long term are ultimately going to be the ones that are successful. Number two is curious. The reason why I say this is I really think that people who ask questions and want to know more about why you're having them do what they're doing creates more buy-in on their behalf and trust in you as the coach, that you have their best interest at heart.
Cool.
And so actually one of the principles that we have at Two Brain Coaching that we were founded on is that you empower through education. So Steph and I were having this conversation. I think you were in the text string yesterday that I don't think that you need somebody to hold your hand long term to making the right choices to support the lifestyle that you want to lead. It goes back to the old analogy of, teaching a man to fish.
Mm-hmm.
So and what I mean by that with regards to this whole curiosity component is that as somebody continues to ask why are you telling me to do this? Why are you having me do that? Why are you teaching me this stress management technique? When they internalize all that stuff, they create their own narrative that says, okay, well, this is what is supporting me in pursuit of my goals. When it's just a dictatorial relationship where it's do this thing because I said so, ultimately that doesn't serve the person who is coming to you to be coached and to be served at all. And so again, this ties back into the patience piece that I talked about earlier. It takes a long time to develop that relationship of trust, and it is really cultivated through this aspect or through this characteristic of people being curious. Like you, Steph, Margaret, Jean, Emily, you guys are all great at continually peppering me with questions. And sometimes people are scared to put their hand up and ask these questions, but I really love that because it gives me an opportunity to express, why we do things the way that we do. And that's ultimately what really led me to restart this practice of getting onto the podcast and talking about stuff, because it allows me to express not just to you and to, the people that are on the live stream, but maybe down the road, people that are listening to this podcast that understand, oh, this is what makes CFG different. This is why they do the things that they do, and they can then make a decision, man, that's something I want to be a part of. Or the other side of the coin, no, that's really not for me. Because that's ultimately what you want, right? As the coach, I want a yes or a no. I don't want somebody on the fence at maybe.
Right. How long does it take? No, let me rephrase this. If you have an athlete or client that you're working with, or a coach, or whoever you're working with, that at the time, currently, does not ask the why. If they're not as curious as you might like right now, one, do you try to cultivate that in them?
Mm-hmm.
Two, how do you do that?
So the reality is that some people, they come in here and they are just going to do what it is that you say to do, right? We can all think of members that we've had over the years. They come in, they put their nose down, they do their work, and they leave. And it's like, okay, this person's making great progress. But really what is bubbling up under the surface is they're then creating their own story or narrative about why you're doing power cleans today, or why we back squatted yesterday, or why we're doing pull-ups tomorrow. And it's really the coach's responsibility to cultivate that. So if you've got somebody that is not that type of person, it is still your job as a coach to explain to them, hey Mark, this is why I told you to go home and take a nap that day, because I knew how you looked in the workout, and we talked about the story last time. I knew what you looked like in the workout. It was not normal. Then you told me about your sleep, the quality and quantity the night before. And so the best thing that I can do for you right now, so that you are super productive, because I know what your goals are today and then the rest of, the next 90 days, the best thing for you is to go home and sleep, and here is why. So it's always a coach's responsibility to educate. Now, if you get that back, then man, that's the ultimate, right? Where the people start to ask, why are we doing this? Why are we doing that? I think I've mentioned her in every single podcast that we've done, but Sheila was just the ultimate at doing this, and I loved it, and she knew that I did because I told her, like, hey, I love when you ask me these types of questions. So it really created this positive feedback loop where she was always interested to hear more about, okay, why did you choose this workout? Well, I noticed that you changed this in the middle. Why did you do that? And, okay, well, what do you have planned for this because I'm working towards this thing? So to answer your question, if you have a member or an athlete that you're working with that is not naturally curious like that, it's still incumbent on the coach to provide that level of education, in the hopes that they do kind of start to ask those questions on their own. And it's not like they're questioning your ability, because that's usually like a novice coach thing, is, oh, they're asking me these questions because they don't think that I know what I'm talking about. And I've never taken it as that.
No.
I've always taken it as, man, this is great, this person's curious.
Stephanie asked, is the question how to get them engaged, Mark Zachowitz? And I would say, kind of, yeah, but I think a lot of people are pretty much engaged, but they might not, just like Josh said, be naturally curious. But I think that question can go both ways, and I think you answered it. We still kind of have a duty to provide that education, and I think you found, and we found over time, that if you educate people, they're going to start to ask, and they'll start to wonder the whys and the hows and stuff like that.
Absolutely, and that really, why that I actually put that in, because I think this is an important point to drive home, why I put that in as a thing that I look for when determining how successful somebody's going to be, because that can seem like, well, why would you think that somebody needs to be curious? Because over the course of the career that I've had, the ones that are most successful are curious. Mm-hmm. They ask the questions, they buy in, and what that does, the buy-in, means that I've got a longer period of time to affect positive change in their life, and thus, they are more successful. The last one is consistency, and this is actually one of our values here at CFG. We say be consistent, and what that means is you just need to practice the art of showing up. And there's a great quote, I don't want to butcher it, but it's by the guy who wrote Atomic Habits, and I talked about that a couple podcasts ago, James Clear. He said something to the effect of, don't concern yourself with the results until you've mastered the art of showing up. And so that can be something as simple as, if I have a 3-day-a-week membership or a 12 times a month membership, I'm getting in my 12 workouts every month on a consistent basis. If it is that I'm working with Coach Steph and she tells me, hey, that 80% of the time I need to have my plate look like the plate method, where half of the plate is vegetables and fruits and veggies, then consistently, it doesn't mean always, but it means more often than not, you are doing the thing that you and your coach have agreed is going to move you in the right direction. It's not perfection, but that is naturally how progress happens, is you just have to master the art of showing up. Same thing, if you want to be a good boyfriend to Emily, what do you have to do? Like, you have to just do the normal things, right? And continually show up. If I want to be looked at as a good dad, I need to continually be there and give time to my kids. And so, guess what? If you want to be successful at attaining whatever goal it is that you have, you need to create the habits and then sustain them that are going to make you successful long term.
I like that. How do you, and I'm just asking because I think it's fun to kind of poke your brain about this stuff. How do you improve someone's consistency. Say that's something they struggle with, and that's why they're coming, hey, I need a coach. Hey, I know I'm not accountable. Hey, I know I'm not consistent. That's why I need a coach. And I know we said the top 3 things that you're looking for in the ideal client or athlete, but kind of to take it back to someone that's more novice, how do you breed those things and work on those things?
I'll be honest, this is actually a real challenge for me. If I have somebody that is struggling with their consistency, what I have discovered is I would say maybe is just a flaw or something that I'm not great at from a coaching perspective is being that person that is always going to hold you accountable. Because I'm a big, huge believer and practitioner of personal responsibility. So here's what I mean by that is if I tell you, hey Mark, I'm going to need you to do these 3 things every single day in order to meet your goals, I am not going to be the coach that is going to be monitoring if you've done these things every single day. However, what I am going to see is trends over time on a weekly, bi-weekly, monthly basis where I'm like, oh man, Mark was supposed to do 15 things over the course of this last month and he only hit 10 of them. Well, guess what? In the day-to-day or monthly interactions that we have, that's going to come up. And so ultimately, for me as a coach, what I found works best in the relationship that I have with my athletes and the members that I work with directly is it boils down to revisiting, okay, tell me again, let's go over what the goals are, why do you have these specific goals, and digging 3, 4, 5 layers down, and then us coming to the solution together that you kind of lead your way into. So you kind of tell me, well, okay, here are the things that I am pretty confident that I can do on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. So you have told me what you're ready, willing, and able to do.
Right.
And then we've agreed, okay, we're going to have these check-ins and we're going to monitor that. Because what I found long-term is if I just come up with a prescription all on my own with really no collaborative effort from you, it ultimately leads to failure. And so it's really not a consistency problem on behalf of the member. It's a problem on behalf of the coach working with the member. That I've said, well, I'm the person that knows everything, and so you need to do these things, but I didn't take into account what you said. What are you ready, willing, and able to do? And so it really needs to be much more of a collaborative effort type thing, and that's what leads to that ultimate consistency.
Does ready, willing, and able, and this is kind of something that just popped in my head, does it work as like a flow chart? So like, it's almost like, okay, you start here, we're just going to say these 5 things, and you're ready to do these 5 things, but you're willing to do 3 of them, and now of those 3 things, how many are you able to do? So it's almost like moving through like a filter as it moves down, or is it more dynamic than that?
No, that's a really great way to look at it. I've never thought of it that way, but you're exactly right. I mean, you may think or even be ready to do, yep, okay, I know what it's going to take. I fully understand. I'm ready to do these 5 things. And then we talk about the willingness to do it, you know. You talked about Jocko last time. Okay, are you willing to wake up, you know, at 4:30? Yeah, I'm willing to do it. Okay, then we get to the last stage, able. Well, wait a minute, you told me that you take your kids to school at this time. So you may be ready and willing, but you physically are not able to do that unless you sacrifice your kid going to school, because you are responsible for getting them up and taking them to school. Right. So I think that's a really, really great way to look at it. And when you pass it through those filters, what actually happens is you find that, okay, I start with 5, I go down to 3, and ultimately 1. What's easier to establish consistency on? 5 things or 1? 1. And so this is why, and not to go on too long of a tangent, that the SEM model that we talked about last time of sleep, eat, move, and manage is so vitally important, because somebody may be ready and willing to come in and work out 5 days a week, but they're not able to. But if I never talk about sleep and stress management, that will really have a huge impact on their life, it may seem like, oh, well, if I can't do 5, I'm going to do 0. But if I can give them another thing that they are ready, willing, and able to do, then guess what? That piece about sleep and stress management, that may have a greater impact than if they could come in and work out 5 days a week.
Interesting. So, patience, curiosity, consistency, those are your top 3, but no particular order. And then you mentioned kind of a side note about how tying into those 3 things, adaptability.
Yeah, and I kind of recapped this at the very beginning, but adaptability ties into all those just because you have to be able to roll with the punches, just given the nature of the world that we live in. Things are not always going to be perfect, no matter how robotic and rhythmic your schedule is. Like I teased myself about a couple weeks ago, that every day is almost the exact same for me, but it's not. Right? So I have to be adaptable. Like today I didn't work out with the 9 a.m. class, but I am going to go home and do something to check the box of movement for me today. But it's not going to be with a barbell, and it's not going to be with burpee box jump overs. It doesn't mean that I failed at anything. It just means that I'm adaptable, and the goal for me today is just to move. That's it.
Right. Stephanie did ask us to read off her questions, or her responses.
Yes,
Sorry.
I have them here.
Okay, good, because my phone's out there and yours is doing the live feed.
Let's see. Well, I thought I did. Okay, here it is. So, let's see. Steph had a couple of them.
So again, top 3 things that Stephanie looks for in an athlete or client as a coach when determining how successful they will be at attaining their goals.
So number 1 that Steph said was buy-in and / investment. So basically, put another way, when a client buys in, they're showing me that they value what I have to offer and what I'm doing. And there is a level of respect that says that, hey, I trust you, that you have my best interest at heart, and that, like you said, I'm ready to get rocking and rolling. The second one is, I honestly totally forgot that she wrote this, but her second one is consistency. And so what she said is, I believe in habits and that they can either steer you in the direction of your goals or away from them. And so she wants consistency over perfection, right? And that's something that I tied in. And Steph, I promise I didn't copy you. I came up with mine on my own last night. And then the last one, and Steph really crushes it, and you know this about her, is a willingness to communicate openly and often. So anybody that knows me on a semi-personal basis knows that I am not the greatest communicator all the time, which is ironic given how these podcasts, every time we get on, we talk for an hour and 15 or an hour and 20 minutes. But just in terms of laying out expectations, monitoring things, I'm historically not the best person with that. I think that if I tell you something one time, that should be it. But that's actually not effective. And Steph is an amazing communicator, so I'm glad that she put that one on there. I love it when athletes give me feedback. I love when they ask questions, so that can actually tie into the curiosity piece. It allows me to be a better coach and meet their specific needs. Yeah. So those were her top 3, and she did add a 4th, and I think that this one actually ties back in perfectly to what your 3 were, being ready, willing, and able. And she said that this is something that I said years ago to her, and I think to you, when somebody comes to me, and this is just in the scope of, being a high-level athlete, but it can really work for anything, is if I have somebody that comes to me and says, I want to make it to the CrossFit Games, or I want to be an Olympian, or I want to do these things, which I have had happen to me, one of the questions that I ask right up front is, okay, are you willing to give up alcohol for 6 months? And it's not a judgment that I pass on alcohol. It's not because of me trying to subtly change up their nutrition or anything like that. It's just usually a thing that gets them thinking like, oh man, this is something that is a social piece for me. But more than anything, what it is like, are you willing to do the hard thing? over and over and over for a long period of time.
Sacrifice.
Yeah, exactly. So, because when you do have big, lofty goals like that, and they're great, there's nothing wrong with it, there is going to be some sacrifice that comes along with it. And so that was always my question, that I could kind of get people off balance a little bit, get their reaction, and then we can have an open and honest conversation on, okay, it's not so much about the alcohol, it's about, are you going to be able to do the things that are necessary to get you where you want to go in the time frame that you are expecting it to be?
Nice.
So, thank you for that question, Steph.
Yeah, that question, that's going to be in the title of the podcast.
That's right.
That's how good that question was. That's the first listener question, right? We got like 5 more.
So let's do this. Let's put a time limit on these next couple. Let's say 3 minutes.
Okay. Sounds good.
Can you do that? Hold on. Let me get my watch out.
Okay, here we go. Oh,
And
is
then,
it coming off? Oh, it's coming off the wrist.
Let's
Do
see.
you have a watch tan?
A watch tan?
Tan.
Tan.
Do you have a watch
I
tan?
have a watch tan. I do not have a watch cam.
Not yet.
Okay. So after you read the question, you hit the start button. Have you ever used one of these, Mark? A
Yeah.
stopwatch?
Yeah.
Okay.
We 3 minutes each. So like we get 6 minutes or 3 minutes total.
No, 3 minutes total. So if I take up all 3 minutes, they don't get to hear from me.
Okay.
All right.
B, what are some good things to help me stay on track with my goals when I travel? 3, 2, 1, go.
You can go first.
One, going back to what you said, consistency. So just finding consistency in your set model, I would say. So sleep, eating, movement, and stress management. We know that travel is typically going to be out of the norm. I'm going to work backwards. So it's going to be stressful on you, whether it's good or bad, whether you like traveling or not. So you're going to have different places to exercise, so your movement might be different. If you're don't have access to anything like we have, like with Wi-Fi or another program that you're following, then you're probably going to be in charge of coming up with your movement for the day. So you have to be consistent and ready to come up with whatever you're going to do, even if it's just like a 40-minute treadmill walk or something like that, or walk around the hotel wherever you're at. Eating is definitely going to be different. You're not going to have meals made for you typically like they would be at home, or you're not going to have access to a kitchen where you're going to make meals, so you're probably going to be eating out a lot. So being able to stay consistent and make smart, healthy, nutritional choices. And then finally, sleeping. You're not going to be sleeping in the same bed as usual. You are going to be in a hotel bed or somewhere else, maybe sleeping on a plane or at an airport if you're unlucky enough to do that. And so that's going to add to the stress. So just on top of all of that, being able to manage all of those things. I did 1.5 minutes. You get the second.
90 seconds. Okay, so the first thing that I would recommend you do, this goes back to something that Steph said was in her top 3, is communicate openly with your coach. If you are somebody who has a extensive travel schedule, meaning your normal routine is abnormal, meaning you're on the road all the time, you're in planes, hotels, going back and forth on the highway, things like that. Your new normal, which is a term that I hate, is going to be one that supports the environment in which you frequently find yourself. So if it's in hotel gyms, take a snapshot or a picture and send it to your coach, and it's their job to then determine what your movement is going to be. If it is you're on the first floor of a really rowdy place, then do what you can to mitigate, any sort of bad sleep habits or anything that you can have. Thankfully, we talked about lowering the temperature of your hotel room. That's like the first thing that I think everybody does when they go to a hotel, is they jack that thing way down because they're not paying for the AC. So that's a good one. And then you can usually get hotel rooms really dark. The last piece, though, for the last 15 seconds is don't over stress about it. Just take it in stride and do what it is that you can do in communication with your coach. 2:57.
Nice.
All right.
Second question, or really the third.
Okay, so I tried decreasing my temperature for improved sleep, and it worked.
Woo!
What is next?
What is next?
3, 2, 1. I'll go first.
Okay.
Because I know you were looking at me.
We're wasting time.
The next thing that you can step up to do is work on blacking out your room. Okay? So the theory behind that is that any sort of ancillary light that is into your room does not allow your body to get into the types of deep sleep, deep restorative sleep that are good for doing exactly what I just said, restoring your body back to the point that it needs to be, which is always homeostasis, right? A nice kind of even keeled thing. Beyond that, the other thing that you can do is, this is going to sound like such a cop-out, is last week, this person was talking about they took their temp down 2 degrees, so I think it was, they went from 75 to 73, go down to 71.
Ooh.
So those are 2 other things that you can do to really increase the quality of your sleep. 1 minute.
Oh.
It only took me 1 minute to get there.
Good, because I'm going to need time for a story. So Jose's in the live feed right now, and he actually said something that he does, and something he's recommending is wearing blue light blocker glasses. So like you said, kind of blacking out your room to get rid of any ancillary light. Jose he wears, he was telling us about this in the class last night. He mentioned that over the last couple days or weeks, he's been wearing these blue light blocker glasses for a couple of hours before he goes to bed. And so what this does is it blocks the blue light that things like screens, like your phone or a TV, or even like LED lights, like light bulbs emit. They send those light waves out, and it can directly affect your sleep. And so you can have more disturbances, you can be up a little bit more, whether you realize you're up or not, but you can get, or you can have less quality sleep. And so wearing those blue light blocker glasses, I don't know how much they go for. I wish I could tell you. Jose could probably tell you if you're in the live feed.
Dude, we have them for the whole family. They're like a couple dollars a piece on Amazon.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So, yeah, wearing those would probably be a good option if you don't mind wearing stuff on your face. Like if you don't mind wearing glasses or something.
You shouldn't mind that, Mark.
Yeah, I don't mind. I always get something on. We got like 30 more seconds to talk about this one. So we can read some comments. Stephanie says, basically you need me and Jose on this podcast because we have amazing answers. Stephanie said, use a sound machine. Parents will know using a sound machine can help. If you like, I know some people have like fans. They'll put on like fans that while they're going to sleep.
Or we could just record your voice doing that.
Yeah. There's the sound bite.
Yeah.
Tina says she wears blue light blocker glasses since she's on a computer all day at work. And Stephanie says they are $19 on Amazon. Look at that. $2.59.
All right, I like this. People are probably like, why don't you guys do this for the whole podcast? Maybe we will, people.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay, the next step after determining your values and priorities. Okay, so this goes back to the SEN model on the managing your stress piece. Okay?
What exactly is the question asking?
So, okay, so last time I talked about, what is the first thing that people can do when they start wanting to proactively manage their stress. And I said the first thing you need to do is write down what your values and priorities are so that you know, like, that's the first filter that all your decisions have to go through. So what happens after that?
You first.
I'll go first. 3, 2, 1. Okay, so after you've gotten down your values and priorities, when you wake up in the morning, spend the first 5 to 15 minutes without any screens whatsoever. None. So the reason I say 5 is because if I tell people, hey, don't look at your phone for 15 minutes, they're not going to do that. Like, that's a big ask. But if I say 5 minutes, okay, well, maybe it takes me 5 minutes to do my morning routine. Maybe I jump in the shower and I make my coffee and I make my breakfast before I ever look at a screen. So 5 minutes, I think, is a good benchmark to start with. Again, this ties back into a little bit of what we were talking about with the sleep piece, right? Is that immediate stimulation from all those lights and everything else that happens with being on a screen, the dopamine hit that you get from clicking Facebook or Instagram is not healthy long-term for you. So, stress management step number 2 would be to spend the first 5 to 15 minutes of every single morning without any screens whatsoever. 1 minute, 9 seconds.
So your answer is a lot more specific than mine. I was going to say, after you've written down your values and priorities, and mine's more of an overarching answer, is take action. So whatever your values and priorities are, what are you going to do first thing when you get up? Maybe it's not looking at your phone for 5 minutes. That's awesome.
Yes.
That's a great starting step. It's not 15 minutes, it's not 30, it's not an hour. 5 minutes, just stare at the ceiling, enjoy the quiet, the alone time, whatever it is for the first 5 minutes. But take action in some way that is going to push you towards a day where you are following and adhering to exemplifying those values and priorities.
Boom. So basically start using those, putting them into practice.
Exactly, yeah.
Yes.
That was like 2 minutes.
All right.
That one was
Beautiful.
good.
Look at this. We got one final question.
Is this the reset button?
Does it say reset?
Yeah.
Yep, that's it.
There we go. Last one was, we do a lot of strength training. Will lifting weights make me bulky? And what benefit does weightlifting have?
So this is actually a question that I have specifically been asked so many times. This is probably the most common question I have ever received in my entire history of... Oh, sorry. I was trying to cheat the system there. This is probably the most common question I've gotten the entire time that I have been a coach. And 99% of the question askers are females, but it really can be relevant to anybody, especially the second half, the benefit of strength training. But the first one is, will lifting weights make me bulky? Only if you do the things that the big, bulky people that you are probably seeing on social media or out in public do. So, a lot of times females are concerned that they are going to turn out looking like a female bodybuilder or a super athletic, muscular, what they would consider quote-unquote bulky person because they are lifting weights. The reality is no, you will certainly not look like that unless you are eating your absolute face off, full of food, lifting weights 7 days a week for multiple hours a day, 3 hours a day minimum, but up to about 8 hours a day. Oh, and also, you need to be injecting yourself with testosterone and growth hormone.
Yeah.
Now, if you're doing all those things, then yes, you're going to probably get bulky. But if you're just being a general fitness enthusiast, nope, you're not going to get bulky. There's no concern there. That was 90 seconds, by the way.
That was good. I 100%, we're probably going to go over on this one. I 100% agree with you, Josh. This is a question that's in our foundations program, and it's on our strength focus. So the way our foundations works is it's separated into 4 days with different topics. The second day is we talk about strength, and so we talk about bulkiness and weightlifting and will it make me bulky, and I say the same thing. You're not going to look that way unless you want to look that way. Unless you do the things that are going to make you look that way. Now, do we lift weights in the gym? Yes. Does lifting weights increase muscle and in turn burn fat? Yes. So what that'll kind of equate to is not necessarily any sort of bulkiness, but more of a toning. I think tone is such a stupid word to use in the fitness industry, but what it'll do is...
There's actually no definition of it.
Yeah, it's stupid, but you'll get tone. We'll say you'll get leaner.
Lean, that's
Yes.
usually what people are looking for. I want to get lean.
Yes, you will get leaner, and so that's typically what you're going to find, but in no way are you going to ever look bulky or manly unless that is what you are looking for. 2:55.
Okay, so we'll have to start a new clock. This will be the last question that ties into this one. So it was, so we do all the strength training. What benefit does it have?
Go.
Okay. So strength training, the reason why it is a core piece of everything that we do here, you could really consider what we do strength and conditioning. And yesterday's workout, not to take a tangent and waste time, was a perfect example of that. But there's 4 main things that strength training benefits you with. Number 1 is it does help with fat loss. it actually helps you reduce body fat and burn calories more efficiently, which means that you are going to then lose weight in a healthy manner. Strength training, yes, does build muscle, but not the type that is going to make you concerned with becoming bulky. It is going to help you burn more body fat by having more muscle mass than body fat on your frame. So that's piece number one. Number two is it helps increase your resting metabolism to minimize that muscle loss. All right, so everyone knows that they want their metabolism to be ramped up because that is what we know helps burn fat. Well, guess what? Strength training aids that. Number three, it helps with resiliency. And another way to think about this is it improves and increases your bone density. Now, most people think of that as an issue when you get to be of an advanced age, things like osteoporosis. But what strength training does is it helps your bones be more dense over a long period of time. That's why frequently, as people age and get into the elderly population, you will see a doctor or a physical therapist tell older patients that they actually need to do some sort of resistance training. It doesn't mean they need to be back squatting 405, but anything that has more resistance than just their own body weight helps to improve bone density. Lastly is a decreased potential for energy. So strength training helps build and maintain healthy joints, tendons, bones, and then also your balance and coordination are improved. So not only does a fall become less dangerous, but it also becomes less likely to happen.
That was like 2:15.
2:15. We got through all those questions. Would you have ever believed it?
No, this is smart. This is like, we should come up with like, the days we have more questions, less time, so it's more rapid fire.
Yes.
Going after it. But no, that was
Rapid
good.
fire Q&A.
That really helped.
I want to get bulky. Steph, I want to get bulky too. I've been trying for like 30 years now, and this is all I got. So, yeah. And I actually used to make that joke when I would teach foundations, when people would ask me the bulky question, is I would say, look, I've been trying to get bulky for like 15 years, and this is all I got. So,
right.
And I'm working out way harder than you probably will. You know, you coming into this space for the first time, don't worry about it. You're going to be just fine.
Yep.
Lift all the weights.
Let's see, just make sure we didn't miss anything.
A lot of, comments, a lot of participation. This is great.
Yeah, I did want to say, as I think it sounds like we're about to close this episode out, I wanted to say thanks to everybody that tuned in, whether it was for a second or was able to hang out in here. It does make a difference, and it's fun to have. Now, we'll have an audience no matter what, because we're going to release this episode as a podcast, but it's fun to have an audience to kind of talk to and interact with in the middle of the show. Not that you're not a great audience yourself.
I see, that was a little spike. That's cool, Mark.
No, but it's nice to have people to talk to, so thank you guys for hanging out and contributing and asking questions and giving us something to kind of expand on if we had to. So thank you to everybody that tuned in.
Yep, and if you got questions for next time, make sure that you submit them in whatever way you want to submit them. So last time I got emails, text messages with them. People posted to the Facebook thread, whether it's this thread or another one. Keep the conversation going on this one. That's great. We will, if there's follow-up questions, I will be glad to answer them. We also, I don't know if you saw this, I'm sure you did, Mark, but if you didn't, we've started adding chapter designations, basically separating the different pieces, that we go over in each of the podcasts, hopefully. So, if you don't want to listen to all hour and 15 minutes of this, you can just click to the thing that is bringing you the most value, that's most relevant to you at that particular moment.
Yeah.
That's all I got, man.
And this is the part where if you're listening on iTunes, you go and leave a 5-star review, and then you leave a written review, because it helps the podcast get seen. We want to reach people, help more people, even if it just means listening to our voice for 75 minutes a week. That is awesome. So leave a review. If you're on SoundCloud, keep listening. Leave a like. Share this with your friends, your family. Tell them, hey, come listen to these guys. They are pretty smart. They are pretty cool. And
my computer just died.
Oh, perfect timing. But as always, thank you everybody that either tuned in, or to the live